Education Union. Let's speak live here on LBC News to Kevin Courtney, Joint General Secretary of the NEU. Thank you for joining us this evening. Strike action, of course, has been going on for a while now. How did today go from your point of view?
Well, we're still collating figures, but we think members are strongly supporting the industrial action today. We put in place some dispensations, so some teachers were in support in Year 11 and Year 13, getting ready for exams. But the strength of feeling remains really high. Our members think that the offer that the government made, that it's not fully funded and implementing it would lead to more cuts in schools, and it's also not enough. It's not enough to change the situation where this year the government looks like it's only going to be able to recruit 50% of its target number of secondary school secondary teachers, and maybe only 75% of its target for primary teachers. These are unprecedentedly bad figures for the government, and our members think that there needs to be a pay rise and it needs to be fully funded as part of solving that.
Does the NEU feel a little isolated now, because you are the only union that has a mandate to take strike action, because other unions that have been involved in ballots have failed to meet the threshold to hold strikes?
Well, we don't feel isolated. We feel like that we are leading the movement amongst teachers, but we're really pleased. Pleased might not be quite the right word, but the other three unions that work in schools amongst teachers and school leaders, NAHT, ASCL, NASUWT, they have all announced recently that they are balloting at the same time that we're reballoting, because you have to do that every 6 months. And so all those other unions coming into it. And I mean, that is quite astonishing. ASCL is a union that's existed for 130 years. It has never previously balloted for national strike action. It's largely secondary head teachers. I was at the NAHT conference last Friday. That's a union, largely primary heads, some secondary heads as well. And the vote at their conference was unanimous to ballot for strike action. The government has done a remarkable thing in terms of bringing teachers and school leaders into the same place and rejecting what the government is telling us.
I mean, the government insists that the offer it's put forward of 4.5% in terms of a pay rise is fair. This was James Cleverly, the Foreign Secretary, speaking to LBC this morning.
Over and over again, I was told it's not just about the money, it's about the level of workload. We're reducing the level of workload, reducing the hours that they are committed to, and I really hope they recognise this is a good offer and they get back to where they can be most useful, which is in the classroom supporting young people.
Your reaction to what we heard from James Cleverly this morning, Kevin?
Teachers would like to see a reduction in workload, the meaningless workload that comes from accountability. They've made no moves so far on that, is the truth of it. They've said they'll set up a commission which will look at it at some time in the future. But we took to government evidence, not just from our union, but from the NFER, the National Foundation for Education Research, from the IFS, the Institute of Fiscal Studies, from Public First, evidence which showed that teacher pay, the pay of teachers, has declined faster and more than the pay of other professional groups. And all of those bodies also pointing to that as a reason why we don't have enough teachers. And that shortage of teachers is disrupting education every single week. So the government is going to have a correction on teachers' pay. We can't be in a position where they just miss 50% of the target that they've set themselves for the number of teachers that they need, and in secondary schools, and then maybe 25% in primary schools. We can't be in a situation where that carries on. It's disrupting education. Secondary school after secondary school has stopped teaching computer studies. Computer studies at this point in the growth of our economy, we're stopping teaching it in many schools. 1 in 10 maths lessons taught by somebody who doesn't have a qualification in maths. A quarter of physics lessons taught by somebody that doesn't have a qualification in physics. This is not good for our country. It's certainly not good for this generation of children. So our strike action is about trying to get government to see that, and we're just hoping that parents will contact their MPs and say, however they want to say it, they don't want the strikes to carry on, but that they want the government to start investing in our country and investing in our children.
Kevin Courtney, Joint General Secretary of the National